It's impossible to unravel humanity from our beliefs. We could argue that the need to worship something larger than ourselves is the essence of the human experience, or the divine essence of the human experience. There are at least 100,000 different deities that are currently worshipped on Earth, not to mention all the ones that have been worshipped historically. Religious history is human history. So, one thing I have to say, archaeology is a science and is really subject to the limitations of the technology that we have. So, the things that we use to date sites and objects are only as good as the technology that we have. With that out of the way, values and rules are what make up a culture. So, what is necessary? What is good? What is acceptable? What isn't? What's justifiable? What is justice? Religious texts are often just tools that are used to catalog and spread values and rules. Religious texts are still texts, though. They have a date of publication, they have an author or a translator, and they have a cultural context within which they were written. Even the word religion is only a couple of hundred years old. And as our dating methods become more varied, our timeline of human history is changing. The only thing that we know for sure is that humans have lived in social communities for at least tens of thousands of years. And some of our earliest pieces that we have are the Venus figurines, which are these big, very feminine figures, burial sites, and cave paintings. Humanity has always been interested in fecundity, death, and art. All of the religions of the world can eventually be traced back to animism. Animism is the belief that everything, objects, places, creatures, possess a distinct spiritual essence. Through variations in the environment, the people of the world develop knowledge and mythologies to just kind of try to make sense of things, right? So if there's, a cosmic weather phenomenon, that's a thunder god. Death is just the transition from this existence to the next one. Sex is a powerful force. Omnism is the belief that all religions have a thread of truth. There's a story somewhere where religion is basically a bunch of people describing an elephant, but the elephant is in a bookshelf kind of, so it's got sections. And so everyone is coming up, but everyone only sees one section. No one can step back. Everyone can only see the one cube. So someone gets a tail and is like, God is a paintbrush. And, someone gets an eye and God is all seeing. And someone gets a foot and God is a tree. And you see where I'm going with this? Everyone is correct, but everyone is wrong. And the only way to get to the whole picture is to put it all together in a way that makes sense. So that's what this course is. That's what I'm trying to do here. In order for hatred to be cured from the world, we have to learn to stop attacking people for having a different set of views. Just because they see a different angle of something doesn't mean that it takes away from our angle. Both of the things are true at once. The most commonly accepted physical theory is multiverse theory, which is that every possibility exists. This means that what each of us believe in exists in some reality. This is perfect. This is what eclectic witchcraft is. Pick a Parthenon, or, a couple. Whatever suits you. Enjoy. It's really, really important, I think, to think about the function of worship, honoring concepts and archetypes that have traits that are powerful and awe-inspiring. Aphrodite, Freya, Venus, Ishtar, Gaia, Athena, Zeus, Odin, Horus, Ra, Allah, Yahweh, and those are just, from the Indo-European region. Divinity has never changed, just language. Whether we honor ideas or deities, we tend to take on the traits of the things that we focus on. Or perhaps it's more accurate to say that we discover our own resonance to these concepts through these external figures or concepts. Honestly, the freedom of choice of eclectic witchcraft allows every individual to develop a value system of their own, which is why I like it so much. By embracing and encouraging the capacity for divinity in all archetypes, we can seed universal respect for human beings. On that note, why do we feel the need to try to convert others to our deities? Religion serves a communal function. A church or a temple is where we go to meet other people who value the same things as us. It's an easy way. But religious teachings play on the innocence of humanity, on our desire to be good, to fit in, to be held by our families and communities. Nobody wants to be bad. It's nice to have an easy set of rules. This is good, this is bad, that's it. Simple, nice, clean. And religious doctrine offers that comfort, a way to measure ourselves, others, what is success, what is sin. Too many of the big religions use shame to convince people that they're evil. The very premise of original sin is to make us believe that our original nature is sinful. And shame is just anger directed inwards. That's what a therapist told me once. I am offering it to you. Extended shame then turns into self-loathing, which then becomes repression, which then becomes hostility and projection and self-isolation. When we allow our value to be created by someone else's words, be it a pastor or a translator or a newscaster, we set ourselves up for suffering because we're always taking someone else's cues. Simple tip: do not listen to anyone who is presenting values that spark fear. This is how healthy hair should look. This behavior is foolish. That behavior is inappropriate. This is a waste of time. Did you know? So they did this experiment with crows where they had 2 crows and they give them like a test tube with a little bit of meat at the bottom. So they give them these things and they give them little tools. They give them like a little metal stick. And one of them has like, it's a little hooked at the end and the other one's just pinned straight. And so the one that has the little hook can get it out, and they both notice this. And what's really, really incredible about this story is that the crows actually make the tool. So instead of, fighting or whatever, one of them stood on the flat one while the other one bent it, and they made the other one useful so that the other one could do it itself. And I think that is better cooperation and helpfulness and like equality than I have ever seen a human being do. And they did it with feather communication. Kindness and collaboration is a valuable behavior for an animal that's social, and human beings are social. Okay, while we're on the subject of morality and values, I also want to take a moment here to talk about hunting. So first of all, animals are innocent, like children. So as like higher conscious beings, we have a responsibility to protect them. And this is where we can talk about industrial farming and how it's atrocious and it needs to be undone. But at the same time, we have to acknowledge that we're predators. And look up pursuit predation, and I don't want to hear anything about the teeth. Y'all, these are shearing teeth. We don't have cow teeth. Hunting can be done in a way that honors and respects the animal. The indigenous populations of the Americas sustain their relationship with both plants and animals in their regions for tens of thousands of years before the arrival of the colonizers and the agriculturalists. I understand that we've completely lost the normalization of hunting practices. I know that we don't see butchery, skinning, we don't see preservation, everything comes freeze wrapped. So when we change our relationship with our food, we will change the industries that produce it. And it's honestly really disrespectful to try to shame others for their choices, and it's really counterproductive. Nobody ever does anything because they feel bad. And if they do, they're bitter about it. Here's a fun thought exercise. If we didn't have eyes, how long would it take us to discover light? Just because we don't have like an organ to perceive something doesn't mean that it doesn't exist. The human body only perceives a certain spectrum of light, sound, smell, sensation. And if you haven't yet, go look up a mantis shrimp because it's crazy. Anyone that's done any kind of like extensive meditation or spiritual psychedelic experience will tell you what quantum physicists have been confirming lately, that there's more to the universe than what we can see and feel and measure. Everything is made out of waves of energy. The atoms that make up our cells are 99.999% empty space. Everything that exists is a matter of gravity and energy. And gravity is just a critical threshold of a mass of energy. And also, gravity is somehow connected to time, but we don't even really understand that.